Our next valve we're going to talk about is differential pressure. So basically with this one here, again, we use an independent controller. We're using our process gas to do all the control again. But in this case here, what we want to do is we want to create a differential pressure. So it's a little bit of a different setup. We don't really care what happens. We're not really wanting to control a set point here or a set point there. Basically, what we want to do with this valve is wherever the sensing line is going to, we want to track that pressure. And then basically our initial application that we got into was we had it on a separator. And what would happen is the operator at 2 o'clock in the morning, he said, I always get an alarm. And what would happen is up at the battery, they would pig the line, so they'd clean the line out, and what would happen is that when they pigged that line would normally run at 130, well, it would build up pressure to about 170 for a number of hours, and then it would slowly come back down. The problem is that on the dump valve was attached to that line, so normally that pressure vessel is running at 130 pounds, and as soon as they pigged that line, that dump line would build up to 160. So downstream of the valve, we only have 130 here and 160 downstream. Well, every time that valve went to open, of course, there wasn't enough pressure in that vessel, and this would just back up and they'd go down on alarm on high levels. So what we did is we put our valve in there, and they wanted to run 30 pounds higher than that dump valve line. So what we did is of course we already had a 3-inch valve on there. We had it up on the gas leg of the separator, and we actually took, again, because it's an independent controller, we were able to take a slip line from here, and instead of just putting it downstream, we run it down to the dump line. So what it did is it sensed that dump pressure of normally 100 pounds. So we set this 30 pounds higher. So of course the vessel's at its normal operating pressure of 130. Of course, whenever they pigged that line, this would build up, and as it built up, this would sense that, and it would raise the pressure in the vessel, so that we always had 30 pounds higher in that pressure vessel, so that when the dump valve opened up, there's always enough pressure to keep everything flowing through there, and you never had those hiccups and that upset and that underbalance within that separator. And as a result now, just a very neat little setup. They didn't have to repipe, they didn't have to change anything over. We just change out the controller, run the slip line down from the gas leg, run it down to the dump, and worked exceptionally well. And the nice thing about this is, like I said, because it's an independent controller, basically wherever we want to take that sensing line, it could be a mile away hypothetically if you wanted to. Wherever you want that line to sense off of, it will track up and down with whatever line that you're sensing to.